talk about what we did and kind of how we set up. So I've done, I suppose, in reflection, I've now thought about it. So I used to work for years and years with Luxury Locations as a real estate agency in the Caribbean, selling houses, renting houses, organizing holidays, excursions, stuff like that. And that sort of thing. So we did a lot of video media, we did a lot of blogs, we did all sorts of stuff on Facebook, Instagram, etc., etc. Recently, I've just joined another company, which I'm a partner in, which is Prime Health Direct, or PhD, which sells supplements online. And effectively, what I wanted to do and what I am doing is I've taken what I didn't realize I had created as a framework from Luxury Locations and effectively implemented that exact same framework into PhD. Now, the reason it's quite useful to do that is because when you first start, you know all the theory, you know your golden why, you know all of your, you've looked at things like your spin selling and you've thought about what you're going to say and all of these sort of things. But it can be quite theoretical. And so it doesn't really give you a roadmap of, right, what am I actually going to do tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. So effectively, what I did is just extrapolate what I was doing at Luxury Locations, which ended up as quite a firm framework, and I've just put that in PhD. So effectively, I'm going to share that with you because that has actually really helped me I've only started with PhD 2 weeks ago, and we've got now about 400% more traffic online. Our turnover has doubled, and I haven't actually really started. It's just kind of getting things organized. So it does work, and it's just about getting the structure right and getting things organized. So effectively, the structure I have, which for anyone starting a new business, this I think is quite a good way to do it. So the first thing is to set yourself up for success, which would be organizing your platforms. So lots of people have asked us in the past, why you don't use this platform, why you don't use this platform. And with Luxury Locations, we didn't use certain platforms. However, in hindsight, I actually think of that as a mistake. And now I would go on all the major platforms, just blanket them. You will see later in the framework that effectively we will change content for different platforms, but effectively use all the major platforms. So effectively, that's going to be Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn. You'll probably want a blog on your own website if you have a website. Probably Google My Business. Which if you're not on Google My Business, then you want to be on Google My Business, Twitter or X, and TikTok. There's probably a couple of others that you might want to use, but those are the main ones as far as I'm concerned. Now, when I set up, or what I've done over the last week or two, is just set all of them up, get all the passwords, get all the logos in, get all the descriptions in, and have them all arranged. Now, the reason that I've done all the platforms is because I don't know what platforms my customers are on. Now, I may think, all of my customers are kind of Instagrammers. And they're not really TikTok people, because I've never really used TikTok. But I don't know, because actually I've never used TikTok, so people have never come from TikTok. And therefore, it's a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy of my customers aren't on TikTok. Well, if you don't advertise on TikTok, you're not going to get any customers from TikTok. Therefore, your customers are not on TikTok, because you can't make them customers. So that's why, in my opinion, it is good to just blanket all of them. And obviously over time, you might want to phase them out, but to start, just kind of blanket it. So what I've then done is created effectively a wireframe structure to kind of guide me on how to create content. And effectively, I have 3 focus areas. So these 3 focus areas are quite general and quite generic. And the first one is the simplest and it's the longest, but it's the simplest. And that is industry information. So effectively, with luxury locations, we talked about visa programs, we talked about how to buy a property, we talked about the market in general, we talked about the influence of the American economy on house prices in the US, house prices in Antigua. We talked about how the government changing would affect the rental market. We talked about taxes, effectively anything that made us seem very knowledgeable. Now that stuff is really easy to get. So for example, if you want to show yourself as an expert, say the gin business, you turn around and go, okay, let's have a history of gin making. Yeah, if you want to do it, just literally Google it. I picked on you, Sora, because you are the one I'm looking at on the screen. So so effectively, you would just go, right, history of gin making, right, good. Go into Claude. I use Claude AI. I don't know if anyone else uses Claude. I find Claude better than ChatGPT. And the reason now Cosmo's saying yes, because Cosmo is the person who introduced me to Claude, and he is much better at Claude than I am. But I use it and it works very well for me for what I'm about to explain. So in Claude, you can set up a project. And this is a game changer for me, and Cosmo introduced me to this. So I can't take credit for any of this. But I'm going to take credit for effectively how I've structured it. But if you ask Cosmo, he would tell you exactly the same thing. But effectively, so my first channel is industry information. Super easy to do. There's no excuse for not doing it. And it is anything about your business world, etc., etc. I go into Claude and basically I set up a project, and it is industry information about whatever it is. So for example, PhD, industry information about supplements. So I tell Claude, you are an expert on supplements business. You have knowledge of all this. You have knowledge of this. You are also an expert in trading standards, advertising standards. You are also an expert on Google advertising policy, SEO, and you are going to optimize all of this wording. You only write in full sentences. You only provide British English, so effectively because I'm British, so I don't want American English. So there's a whole host of things I put in, and I spent about an hour going through just bullet point, telling it what I wanted Claude to do. And then I said, this will be between 300 and 400 words. So effectively, now I will give you the information. The other thing I do tell Claude is you will not invent any fictitious stuff. You won't just invent something, because Claude will invent stuff and go, oh yeah, Jane runs this, and you're like, no, who is Jane? Like, you've just made that up. Yeah, don't make anything up, and it will spit out better information. And then I've said to Claude, I will provide you the information, and the information I provide you, you will rewrite and make into a blog. So that's what it does. So I take that. Now, historically, I would have taken that and then I'd turn that into a video. Now, if you're going to use AI Steve, which is Hey Jen, just pop it straight into there. It will just churn it back out, and you've got yourself some videos, some longer form videos, but it's about industry knowledge, etc., etc. Now, that is your, let's call it focus area 1 in Claude. Yeah, and that's that project. Each week you want to do that. You want to think about mainly LinkedIn, because it's about sort of information and that sort of thing. And you probably want to be posting on a Thursday, say after lunch. You're not going to do Monday morning, because effectively, if you're professional, you're not going to do that. So you want to come across very professional. And if you're going to do it, post the same time every week. Yeah, Tuesday lunchtime, even you can call it, luxury locations, we had a Tuesday chat. It came out every morning, dead on 9 a.m. On Tuesday morning, UK time. So that worked perfectly. That was that. So that is your first focus area. And that is that we did. So I've done that to 400 words. Now, you think that's brilliant. Okay, everyone thinks you're a subject matter expert, but actually no one really cares, because there's lots of people who are subject matter experts. So therefore, you kind of want to get a bit more personal about you. So the second focus area is your business, which is basically, what is the business doing? How does the business do it? What does it make? This is all about the business. Yeah, this is not you, this is the business. Now, you do exactly the same thing as you did in the first one, but this is now getting a little bit more, you're kind of making the circle smaller and more about this sort of you. It can be how you started the business up, what the business does, why it's got great products. It can be a highlight. So for example, luxury locations, it'd be a walkthrough of a property. It would be talking about what we do as a company, how we manage property. how we help people relocate to Antigua, all of these sort of things, but it's focused around what we do and what the company does. And I'd set up another project in Claude to do that. And also in Claude, I would give it little prompts and say, look, I want you to, so with the industry one, I'd say, look, I want you to be insightful, intelligent, and I want you to finish with maybe a couple of questions about, oh, what do you think about this? With this one, I don't really want that. I want to be, professional. I want integrity. I want it to be very clear. This is what we do. So very clear, very concise. This is what we do. Would you like to know more, kind of thing? And that's our second focus. And again, that would go out once a week. We would run it through Claude, and we would then video it, etc., etc. Now that is 200 words because people are not that interested in what you do. And again, we're looking at like, I would also in the prompts put focus on the why of Simon Sinek, that kind of thing, and effectively more about the overall purpose and why it benefits the other people as opposed to yourself. So that's the second one, and that's you're just getting smaller. After that, your smaller circle is going to be yourself. This is you as a business person in your company. Now, these ones, I would do another project, and these are 100 words or less. Now, this is an update on you and what you're doing. Yeah, as in now. It's an interesting one because people will think the reason this is important is people will think they know you and the more they know you personally, the more they will trust you. Likewise, you can walk down the street, see a movie star and be like, oh, I know them. You don't know them. You don't know anything about them. Yeah. But you feel you know them. You're like, yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's a nice person because he's a nice person in movies. Yeah. That's why you feel you know them. I've been around Antigua all over the place. Antigua's a tiny place. And people come up to me and they're like, hey, Sam, how you doing? And I'm like, I have never met you, but you feel you know me because we've put over like 1,000 videos online. People are like, I know who you are. Oh, yeah, but they don't know me. I've never spoken to them, but they feel they know me. And they feel they know who I am, even though they actually know nothing about me whatsoever. The reason is I'm not putting, and this is the thing to really focus on, I'm not putting me online. It's not me. It's my business persona that I'm putting online. And I have very strict boundaries on what that is. So I will tell people where I am. I will tell people what I'm doing. I will tell people about exciting news. I will tell people about how I feel about those things. But it's not my life, as in I'm not myself online. And that actually really helps you to go, right, okay, so you can say, it can be simple things, traveling here, really excited to go and do a conference, and then you can just have a photo of Heathrow Airport or something. And effectively, something like that will just draw people in to you. But effectively, if you talk about your emotions, that will then give people more of a personal tie towards your business. They then look at your business and go, oh, look, I know what this business does. Because you think you know what your business does. Now, at the end of the day, you're like, of course, everyone knows what it does. But in fact, do they really know what it does? I mean, do they know as well as you do? Not really. So therefore, you've got section 2. And then after that, you need to show you're an industry expert. But if you just show you're an industry expert, no one cares because everyone can show they're an industry expert. I could set up a blog tomorrow and I could be a gin expert according to the world literally by this afternoon. Yeah, because I can just Google history, shove it in Claude, bam, I am an expert. I just tell people I'm an expert. I keep posting it for 2 months. Suddenly I'm an expert on gin. So therefore, that is easy to do. What is more difficult is to then do the other stages, which is your business and then who you are and why it affects you. So for example, back to the gin thing, why do you put these botanicals in? Why did you become interested in it? And I'd keep these short, like I wouldn't drone on about it, but it gives that bit of personality. People go, I like this because 1, they're experts, they know what they're talking about. 2, it's what they do and they're really good at it and this is their range. And I also just like their kind of vibe about, what it is. It could be your values in the business. You talk about, we value this, but obviously if you're going to do that, you want to kind of, that's kind of about your business. So don't blur the lines. So effectively, and with those 3, we'd do video or blogs or updates, and we'd do them every week. And basically, because that just seems like an eternity of perjury, of being forced to do this constantly, like for the rest of my life. And if you're doing it for the rest of your life, to take a break seems super easy, because you're like, it doesn't matter if I do it this week, I'm going to be doing it for the rest of my life, so I might as well, it doesn't really matter. So I might miss a week. So the way I've structured it with PhD is in 8-week sprints. So effectively post on every platform, just spam it out. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. The reason that the fact you're doing it makes the difference. After 8 weeks, on week 7, reevaluate it. Is this what I want to do? You can do all that you, and with this framework, you can do all of those 24, 3/8 to 24. You can do all of those 24 posts, etc. Get them all ready in one day. So you can have them lined up. Obviously, you can adjust them, but there's no excuse not to be able to do them, because they are very straightforward. And really, what I'm quite good at is effectively creating frameworks so I can do less work. That's really my strong point. You know, find a process, find a system, find a structure that works, and then effectively, you know, rinse, repeat, go from there. And effectively, if you do that, particularly if you get your prompts right, you will not have to edit Claude over and over and over again. You know, and I've got a bullet list of things I do. You know, it's SEO, it's British English, it's the word count, it's insightful, intelligent, questioning, it's professional. You are a real estate expert. You are this, you are this. You need to write like this. Now that will take some tweaking. And if you really want to get that perfect, probably talk to Cosmo, because he will have some really good insights. But my project outline is about probably 1.5 pages. It's probably 400 words of telling it who Claude is, and who to write and how to write from that perspective. And that is different for all 3 channels. Likewise, I then use that. I can turn around halfway through and go, okay, I need, for example, on my blog, I've got, it says meta keywords. But in that project, when I post that blog, I can use that same thing in Claude and go, you've written that article, it's great. Can you give me the meta keywords for that in 80 characters? And it will just spit it out perfectly using the project knowledge. And actually, do that. Make a big difference. So you can, with Instagram, you can go, right, give me the tags for that, give me the hashtags. So don't write them yourselves. Yeah Your meta titles, your meta keywords, your hashtags. But obviously you don't need to, you're just saying, you've written the article, now give me this information based on that. And I found that effectively I'll be able to do 8 weeks work in about 4 hours, because I just need to think of 8 topics for each one. And literally I can just go, for example, supplements, industry trends, done. Good. Industry trends, you know, what's happening in supplements, good. I've got 8 topics, pulled them out. I've ripped off, okay, let's be honest, I've ripped off someone else's knowledge. I've put it through Claude. I basically said, right, you know, you're an expert on this. Tell me about it. Why is it interesting? Why is it not interesting? You know, give it a bit of, you know, information. You can put some other links in there, etc., and then done. So it's quite straightforward, but it allows you to go, I can now take a step forward. After 8 weeks, review it, start again. So yeah.
That's great. Sam, thank you very much appreciated on that, and very timely in terms of automation, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about now. So without further ado, let me present my screen. Now, during this, it would be absolutely fantastic if anyone who has got any automation tools that I have not spoken about here, please do drop them in the chat, okay? Because this world of automation is moving so fast that I don't have the latest. You know, I think it's fairly impossible that anyone really would have the latest. All I do know is I get the majority of my information from TikTok and the socials, in terms of the new platforms that are coming out. So I'm hoping that Cosmo is going to do a bit of a more technical deep dive at some point, but I need a bit of feedback whether you want me to go more technical than this. This is kind of an overview, and it's not going into some of the kind of technicalities of it, which, you know, you do need to be familiar with the terminology, you know, in order to use the marketing automations tools. So let's just start, like, you know, why is automation at the moment so damn important? Well, so I'm going to show you, and I think Sam, to a certain extent, has given you a real life case study in terms of being able to really do a lot more with content by utilizing, you know, AI. But, you know, the reality is that going back to our 5 forces, the 5 forces are coming to get us. So if you're the only marketeer out there that isn't automating, then you probably won't be around for very long. It's just quite as simple as that. So then where do we start? So this is looking at your standard operating procedures. So Sam's outlined, you know, a 3-step model there. Hopefully you'll have some of this in your content calendar anyway. So, you know, you will know where to start. And then finally, what is your plan now? What decisions are you going to make to move towards automation? Because, you know, that is, you just need to. So just in terms of current trends, what's happening out in the market, I mean, you'd have to be completely blind not to understand that the world has gone slightly AI mad and automation mad. So AI is different than automation. Okay, that's the first thing I should say. AI is, you know, large language models with natural language processing on top of it. So you give it a problem and it talks back to you in English. So that is kind of AI. And then marketing automation is basically using connections on different platforms in order to take the content that's been presumably co-created with AI and basically spit that out onto multiple platforms in the quickest and best way. But it's not just that. I mean, obviously automation, and people do get the word AI and automation confused all the time. It's like, no, that's not AI you're using to do that. That's actually automation. But even if we look at things like customer service, you've probably seen that, you know, chatbots are definitely on the rise. You know, customers expect instant responses. And so chatbots are really kind of it on websites now. All websites have a chatbot. But also pretty much every single business in the country is investing in AI and automations. And so what that quite frankly means is when you think about the marketing projects you're going to be working on in the next 3 months, if they don't include you upskilling in automation, then you're going to be left behind. So automation is really a critical thing that you need to start, you know, enveloping with both arms. And nobody is born an expert in anything, right? We all have to learn, and it might be a bumpy ride, but you absolutely do need to do that. Also, everybody on the call, remember, is a subject matter, is an SME. And so the reality is what we want to do is we want to do more with less. And so what that means is that you can actually double up, or even more than that, quadruple up the resources you have in your marketing department by utilizing AI and automation, right? Sorry about this. Zavi, are you on the call? Could you just tell Daddy, am I right in the middle of the... Zavi, are you still on the call? Can you tell Daddy I am in the middle of the presentation? What am I doing? Competitive pressure. So yes, so the reality is that if whoever's leading your marketing department, be that you or somebody else, if they are not thinking digital first and they are not basically doing everything they can to upskill, then, you know, your marketing department will be left behind. Because as Sam says, you can basically create white papers, you can create blogs, you can create automated responses to people's posts. All of this can be done via automation. All you need to do is just make sure that you're setting it up correctly. So it is your responsibility. It's not anybody else's responsibility. It's certainly not a tech department's responsibility to basically do more marketing automation, because it's fairly straightforward. Yes, it'll be some different language that you are not used to, but you can Google it. You can basically, you know, go to YouTube and you know, watch some videos on it. But you need to make automation part of, you know, your plan. It needs to be the cornerstone of your plan. And if that slows you down because you're upskilling, that, you know, so be it. So there is basically a customer expectations for, you know, 24/7 service. So whether this is after the deal has landed, prior to the deal, so them going to your you know, going to your website, the reality is that they want instant answers. Now that doesn't mean to say you need to use AI in your chatbot, right? So, you know, the chatbot doesn't need to answer any questions, but you can get very, very simple chatbots where you basically have a RAG, which is a kind of like a mini repository of information that you put in, and the chatbot will just search that repository of information. And again, you know, there's loads of them on WordPress, but there's also just free ones you can use. Quick Chat is one of the ones that we've used, which are just so simple. You don't need any real technical knowledge, and you can just put whatever information you want on an ongoing basis in there, and then it will answer any questions from any people that are coming to your website. And the other thing is obviously with the plethora of, everybody kind of moving to the AI and automation space, competition is getting tougher. And so you may see customer acquisition costs rising, particularly if you are relying on things like Google Ads, which is just not really very, it's increasingly less effective. So this automation that I'm talking about is not necessarily called, kind of technology. It's not techie. It's called what's called no code, low code. Okay. Now, back in the day, this is like 3 years ago, we started off using Zapier. And to be honest with you, it was a complete and utter failure. I mean, there are stuff that we've done, but most of the stuff that we did using Zapier, not only was it very expensive, but we also had to get our internal tech teams involved, which just basically made the project fall over because, what's on the door is no code, low code. So you're not meant to have technical people involved in no code, low code. Next after that came a company called Make, and so currently in Iridescent we're using make.com. Again, I would say that you do need the odd conversation with technical people, not necessarily to do it. So the guy that's basically doing ours is a guy called Christian. Again, we found him on Fiverr. He's very cheap. It's about 500 US or something like that. But sometimes there does come a crunch, or Cosmo will look at something. Cosmo's a bit more technical and go, you know what, that hasn't quite worked out. So sometimes you do need to ask, tech information. But however, I learned of a new one today called Gumloop that is literally meant to be, drag and drop. So it comes already with a series of different kind of workflows, and those workflows, all you do is you just adopt those workflows by literally putting in your email and the account details of what you're trying to link up. Now, I am not absolutely going to say at all that Gumloop is the one you should go for, but what I am going to say is that these are coming out all the time. Okay, all the time these automation tools are coming out. And so if you are on any of the socials, I mean, I find TikTok brilliant for them. Every single day there must be another one, and I just go straight on it, see if I can do it myself. If I can, then basically you've got a free account for a bit, and then after that it's into paying. So, do not be scared of going to these sites, having a look at them, and basically having a play. And remember that the newest people into the market will, by definition, have the simplest and easiest UI. So I would not advocate going on to Zapier unless they've had a fundamental redesign of everything that they do. And then in terms of other things, there's other things that you can do really quickly, like Airtable, that basically is all about database and process automation. So we're going to be using that to fill in RFPs. So basically looking at the structure of an RFP, extracting that data, and then basically pushing the data that we've basically got in our data repository into the RFP. And again, there's kind of RFP AIs out there as well that you can do this very easily with. You can also do web app creation, and also you can do really easy website automation. But having said that, you probably don't need to, because you've got easy websites like WordPress and stuff like that. But just Google automated version of whatever you're trying to automate, something will come up, and most likely it will be free. So the first thing that you want to think about is, what are your data sources? So Sam said, he'd obviously created, usernames and logins for his products across every single site. Make sure that you've got, a database of where those username and try and make them generic, because you will probably need to share them. So don't put it in your own name, info@ whatever, iridescent, and then you can share it amongst your teams. Now that might not be, you know, the most secure way, but we were all small teams at the moment. Then you also want to look at the APIs that will be within any CRM that you use. So again, those will have API keys. And again, if you don't know what an API key is, it's basically just a unique reference for your account within that platform. And so basically what that will allow you to do is securely connect the two platforms together. And again, I'm not telling you where it is on this particular course, because obviously that would be a little bit too long, but you can just Google it, and you can just, you know, go to YouTube, and there'll be a tutorial video on it. I am not saying that this will not consume some of your time in terms of upskilling. I am saying that if you don't take this seriously, you will be left behind in terms of marketing, because this is where marketing, you know, is going. And then, you know, other things that you can integrate. So, you know, you've got your data sources, you know, which is your socials. You've got your CRM systems, which is, you know, how you're managing your sales pipeline. You've got your marketing platforms, you know, depending on what you're using. You've got payment systems, you've got communication tools, and you've got, you know, support systems. So all of these can be integrated low code, no code. Now, most of you on the call at the moment are not going to have anywhere near that amount. But what I'm saying is, if you start off automating your socials, you start off on automating your content creation, what that will allow you to do is upskill in a really easy way, because you've already got the endpoints in the socials. They make it unbelievably easy for you to do this. Then basically it will give you confidence as your business grows, which it will if you use automation and you know use AI where you can. You will be a lot more confident to start basically then saying follow-up emails and, you know, customer service and stuff like that. So start small, get some wins, and then from that move on. But, you know, just always be cognizant there is more you can automate, and the more you automate, the more you know, you're going to drive down your costs. So in terms of the priority here, the real priority is just simply you getting the confidence to actually try some of these low code, no code tools. Okay. So what I'm going to say is you want the highest impact for the least effort. Okay. Don't start thinking, right, this is my standard operating procedure for my entire company. This is what it looks like end to end. Let's see basically what we could automate. Try and look for the things that are easy. And I think Sam hit on a lot of them this morning when he was talking about automate your content creation. So you can automate your content creation. You can say, this is my golden why, this is our 4 Ps, you know, let's map that to trends, or let's, you know, these are the following things I want to talk about in the month of January. I want to talk about, you know, reinvesting, whatever it might be, or I want to talk about, you know, I don't know, how power disrupts, you know, innovation or something, whatever you've got in your content calendar. What you want to do is start creating posts, and exactly as Sam says, you want long form, you want medium form, and then you want short form. So think about you know, how you're going to connect Claude, or how you're going to connect and again, they make it so obvious. Like once you're in these low code, no code platforms, it's so obvious how you connect to all of this. So don't be overwhelmed. Just try and know that you're going to fail, and then pick it up again, and, you know, make sure that you ultimately get to the bottom of it. And if you're not comfortable, this is why I said, you know, Trello is a tough one, because it is just a little bit more clunky, the newer ones that are coming out. So even if you go on to some of the newer ones and you're like, this is you know, too much for me, come back in a month's time and you'll find another one, because they are proliferating, you know, everywhere. So, you know, what I would say is high impact, low effort is stuff like automatic email response. So you've just come to the site, you've downloaded a white paper, or you've commented on something. Right, thank you very much for downloading the white paper. This is a list of all the webinars we're doing over the next XYZ time, right? Really, really simple, not very much effort, and easy to do. You definitely want to get your social media posting so that you're not necessarily posting the same content on the same sites at the same time. Okay, you want a repository of content which you can pull from, and that can be posted to different social media sites at different times, right? Potentially with a different, you know, title line. Again, really simple to automate, right? And then, you know, obviously in an ideal world, you know, we're doing this a lot. We're doing basic customer segmentation. So when we're doing our, you know, one of the things that's been excellent for me over the years is auto linking out. So to get my LinkedIn, you know, my LinkedIn, I think I've got about 18,000 connections now. And over the years, that's been a lot to do with bursts of sort of automation. And again, there's automation tools that you can do. They make it very, very low risk. So you're doing 50, outbound connections a day, which I think is in the zone, but you just don't want to think about it. I mean, why would you reach out to your target markets when you can get it automated? You put in, this is the text I want, this is how many I want, these are the types of people that I want to connect with, and bosh, you're there. So that those are something you should be looking at doing literally in the next 4 weeks, right? Those are the things that you should be looking at. Then obviously, we get to stuff which is you didn't need a bit more confidence for, and that's things like predictive analysis, optimizing the customer journey, and particularly in sales, you can do this really well. So it's like, I know that around this time, my customer's going to want to have case studies. I know around this time, my customers going to want to set up a technical meeting with my tech team. I know around this time, we're going to need to get legal involved. Great. Create the emails, make sure they're part of, a sequential process that basically can happen automatically while you're sleeping. And then, of course, the other thing that you want to do is really get that advanced personalization. Now, all of these automated tools offer advanced personalization. So you're never going to be going out with a generic piece of anything that doesn't say, "Dear Juliet, in your role as founder of Iridescent Technology, XYZ," right? So that is all just basically pay attention to those hashtags. So the kind of core systems that you might need are, first of all, is your socials. So all of us are on the call here. We've been talking about pretty much our socials and our website pretty much non-stop on the call. But there are other systems that you can obviously integrate, and that does make a big difference. So just automation from people coming into your website, people speaking to your chatbot, people downloading your white papers, that should go into your some sort of CRM. So you should know at any point, who's visited your website and how they've kind of interacted, if they've downloaded anything. The other thing is your newsletter obviously should be part of your website, and you should be encouraging people to follow along in your socials. So there's lots of marketing automation platforms that can do that for you. We use Hootsuite. I mean, Hootsuite is a little bit more complicated and it's very ugly, but there are lots and lots of them around. Buffer is a really good one, and so easy to use and so unbelievably cheap. Or it was the last time I was using it, which I have to say was a while ago. But again, Buffer's old and Hootsuite's even older. So there's probably other ones that, if anyone's got any tips, please do shove them in the chat, because this really is all about us not having to upskill so much, but basically the UI should be so good that we can just drag and drop. Definitely social media management. If you're trying to manage, let's say, in different languages, as I know Soroya is, or you're trying to manage multiple different social media platforms, as I know Sam has said he is, then you do need something that's going to help you lift that. And then, of course, you've got content management systems, which will allow you to create a repository of content, which hopefully you can push into like a mini rag that they've got on Claude, like the projects area. They do have it on Gemini, but it just doesn't seem to be as good. But again, look around so that you have got with Claude as well. You can actually link into your Gmail account as well, your G Suite. So there, of course, it's got the repository of everything that anyone in your organization is doing, which is, incredibly helpful. So just a couple of different kind of tool stacks that I've seen out there that may or may not be important to your business. You've got, just in terms of customer automation, you've got Intercom and you've got Drift. For SMS automation, you've got Mobile Monkey. There are loads of email automation tools. I would suggest you use email automation tools that are aligned with whatever email client you use. So we use G Suite. So obviously we want automation tools, and there are actually quite a lot on Google G Suite already, but you do want to have one which is, you know, already aligned to your client. There's so many of them out there that you've got lots to choose from. In terms of sales or outreach, definitely I would look at those that are connected to LinkedIn. So it doesn't really matter if you're selling to business consumer or you're selling business to business. LinkedIn is a really good way to start, not only because you know the people that you'd ideally like to contact, but they have really good filter tools. I think we said before that for filtering, LinkedIn is far better than any of the B2C. So you're always going to pay more for, you know, the social channels because they just don't filter as well. You can really get granular with LinkedIn, which means that you're not going to be targeting people unless they are exactly, you know, the right customers you want to be talking to. So I would definitely focus on LinkedIn regardless of what you're selling, just so that you know what good looks like in terms of targeting. And then ongoing, again, there's loads of really great chatbots and email marketing. You visited our site last week and downloaded this white paper. This week we've got this coming up. Is it a good idea for you to join our mailing list? Yes, probably. Meeting schedules, don't please ever try and, you know, schedule a meeting now. You know, you go to Calendly, or even if you've got G Suite, it's now part of the free G Suite. Everybody can basically just get a meet me at /Juliet Denny. You click onto it and basically it shows your diary. So please do not be doing two back and forth with meetings. You know, you've got to get you know, your head around the fact that, you know, we just have to automate where we can, and some of these things have been around forever, and so we just do need to use them. In terms of marketing automation tools, as I said, we've used Buffer and Hootsuite, and what that also allows you to do is build a repository of information. Yes, we have got a raised hand. Steve, please take it away.
Quick question with these meeting automation apps. Can I avoid salespeople booking meetings with me? Can I somehow, you know, put a grading of who can make a meeting with me? Or if I put it out there, does it mean that I would just get bombarded with salespeople trying to, because in my industry, I will get thousands of people trying to meet me from the sales side?
Yeah, so what I would do in that case is that I would have the meetings invite, and basically I would just copy and paste that meetings invite into an email and go, here, use this link to book a meeting with me. And then you just don't need to do the meeting booking, i.e. set it up in Microsoft Word and basically share all, you know, the addresses. So, you know, you just need to keep the link, you know, more private basically. But it just saves you having to go into Google, you know, send a calendar invite and basically invite all the people, because the work does it itself. So that would be the benefit, rather than, you know, book a meeting with me and talk to me anytime. So not an ideal fit, but still hopefully it will reduce, you know, some small area of meetings. And then, so we go down there, then we've got SEMrush, which, you know, Harry showed us, again, a little bit more technical, and I'm sure there's newer ones out there as well for SEO automation. So SEMrush, what that gives you is a lot of data. So it gives you data on what your competitors are doing, as well as opportunities for you to kind of improve the optimization of your site. Now there are, if you're just about to do a website redesign, which we are at Iridescent, there are tools that are already embedded into WordPress. So we're going to be using WordPress, and we're obviously going to be using, you know, keyword search and SEO automation where we can. And again, that's just about checking the latest widgets that are on WordPress. Okay, and then also you've got ad automation. So with Ad Espresso. Now, I'm not in any way saying that these are the ones you should use. What I'm saying is that these are the ones I know. So the market moves really fast. So I would really encourage you to make sure that you're making your own choice and that you ultimately like the product that you're selecting. The key here is not doing all of it. The key here is moving towards automation with vigor and vitality is what we need to be doing. Okay, making sure we are automating at least one thing. Soraya, yes. You're on mute.
Sorry. I was just wondering, what does ad automation mean exactly? Which bit of it is it automating?
So basically, it will push out ads to different platforms in different ways, but also it will create the ads for you. So it will say, okay, right, well, the theme is this, and then from that, yeah, Sam, have you got insights to Ad Espresso?
So I have just started using a system called Metric, and it's a company out of Norway. And basically, what it does is it uses AI to optimize adverts for Google and Meta. Now they have a 3-month sign up. It's reasonably expensive. It's like I think it's about 500 US a month to begin with. But what it does, it creates all your adverts for you. It scrapes your website, creates the adverts, and then pushes it out. It then optimizes those adverts for Meta and for Google AdWords. Now, again, it's probably for me long term, and for us, it's not going to be cost effective. The reason we're doing it is because you can change your ad campaign as many times as you like. Because you can change your ad campaign as many times as you like, I realized I can create hundreds and hundreds of digitally created adverts using this system for my 500, store them, save them, use them for later. And likewise, because it's using AI to automate my Google AdWords budget and my Instagram budget, it will then tell me, it will do A/B testing nonstop. It actually does A, B, C, D, E, F, G testing if you want. It will churn through that. And after 3 months, I will have learned where my market comes from. And then at that point, I don't necessarily have to use it as an automation tool. I can actually go back to something like Hootsuite and just put everything myself. So we've started using that, and that will create the adverts for you.
Can you post it in the chat? Can you post it in the chat or in the Discord group?
Yeah, I
So
will. I'll
check
put
it out.
now. Okay.
And as I say, sharing is caring here, guys. The market is moving really, really fast. So if you find like a winner chicken dinner tool, then please, sharing is caring. Right. So just in terms of the other things, okay. So and again, in terms of copywriting, there are loads of copywriting tools. Now, I still think, because I have used Copy AI, I have used Jasper, and I think that Claude is by far the best. Now, you may have a different view on that, but the great thing about using Copy AI and Jasper AI is that they can bring in quite a lot of research, but then, Gemini has just launched a new one where you can do proper research papers with citations and all of that kind of stuff. So, I wouldn't so much worry about content creation, to be honest with you. You can do that on any decent AI, that you might be running at the moment. Mid-journey image creation, I have tried many, many times with image creation, and poor old Billy as well uses images for pretty much every post we put out there. I'm going to say singularly that at the moment, until we bring out Dave, which Cosmo is creating, image creation is just it's not consistent and it's not really very good. However, you can get images on it, and you'll have seen if you go down through my LinkedIn posts that I have used image creation on AI before, but it's not consistent. You don't always get what you want, and it can just be you just end up spending money when you don't really need to. Analytics and optimization are absolutely paramount. So when you're looking at an automation tool, for God's sake, make sure that it does do ABCD testing, exactly as Sam said. The Hotjar stuff is really interesting. Okay, so if you're a business consumer site, which Zavmo will be a business consumer site, or For a Gin is obviously business consumer site. It's all about Hotjar. Yes, Soraya.
Hi, sorry, can I just start? What is ABCD testing exactly?
Oh, okay. So basically, really simply, it's taking 4 different ads. So if we go A, B, okay, it's ad A and ad B, and then seeing over time, basically what gets the best conversion. Okay, so that's why Sam's going, you can go A, B, C, D, and great. The more you can do, the quicker you can work out what you shouldn't be spending money on. And these can be tiny changes, but ultimately over the course of your AdWords budget, you will be able to see what's working, better. And so this platform that Sam's talking about does sound really good. Hotjar, vital. Okay, if you are an e-commerce site and you're selling online, Hotjar allows you to understand at what point the user basically clicked off your site and why they clicked off your site. So this is really about optimizing the experience on your site. I'm not saying use it. What I'm saying is understand that those kind of tools are out there. So once the company gets to a bigger size, I mean, we probably won't use Hotjar straight away. We might, I don't know. And then, you've got things like attribution tracking. So where has your users come from? And you really do want to know that. So have they come from Google? Is that making any difference? Have they come from your socials? Great. I'm going to lean in more into my socials. So this attribution tracking is also, really, really critical. You have to have a chatbot on your site. If you're a business consumer site, you have to have a chatbot. Chatbots are so easy. The one that I've used is Quick Chat. I don't particularly like it. I think it's ugly, but it's practically free. But there's loads of chatbots, loads and loads of chatbots. So basically, you definitely want to be in a situation where you are thinking about a chatbot on your site. And again, if you're going to have a WordPress site, fantastic. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Sam. So Sam's just put on an image generation site, which could be better than any of the ones that I've had the misfortune to use. So yeah, chatbot, ManyChat, fantastic. Thank you, Amal. Really appreciate these ideas. We'll make sure we capture them and put them in the discourse so they're not lost. So in terms of customer service, you've got your basic chatbot, okay, which is, just tell me, what's going on with my order or whatever. But then you can start having proper support automation. So, this is the issue I've got, in the past, looking at the RAG. So looking at the data information that you've got. This is how that problem's been solved in the past, or this is the solution we've got, or this is the help that we've got. So you can actually start automating more and more support. And then, of course, you've got lovely things, where we're going to be using this on Zavmo voice. You just attach voice automations to anything you're doing. It just makes it more human. And people seem to really like it. So lots of options there. So what I'm I can't obviously teach you how to do automations in, 40 minutes. What I'm really encouraging you to do is lean into what you think your customers would like, and there will be an automation for it. And I really just want you to be passionate advocates for this idea of automation and utilization of AI, because if you are, that's your competitive advantage in marketing more than anything else. So just a couple of different automation ideas. Now, these I'm not suggesting that you need to code up, okay, because these will already be embedded into your no-code, low-code platform, okay? So what you will see is you'll see little squares and it'll say, what would you like to automate? And you'll go, I'd like to automate LinkedIn moving to whatever it might be. And you double click on it, basically put your details in, and it will allow you to follow that sequence, or in an automated way. But this slide here is just to give you an idea what you could automate in some of these low-code, no-code platforms. So you could go from LinkedIn to basically pulling that into a Airtable, and then basically do an email sequence. So that would stop you having to do any sales. So you could do basically, what are all the restaurants? Basically, what are the what data am I going to take from that? So I'm going to take first name, last name, and your role, and then basically I'm going to put that into an email sequence. We just launched a new gin. It would be ideal for your restaurant XYZ, and you just let it run, right? We're not expecting you to do this yourself. And then, of course, from there, it's follow up. Then we're going to go to website chat. So from a website chat, we obviously want to take that information. We want to put it on our CRM, and then we want to create a task for, either a human or whatever to basically follow that up. Social media mentions. And again, you don't need to do this automation. They are already within the low-code, no-code platforms. Okay, it's just a question of you finding the right low-code, no-code platform. So social media mention, let's create a support ticket and then a response. Customer onboarding, again, similar sort of thing. Definitely for sign up for training videos. So if you want to get them to, you know, look at something that you've done, then you want to push them to the next piece of collateral. So in our case, it would be, you've downloaded this. Why haven't you signed up for our mailing list? Or you've downloaded this. I see you're on your our mailing list. Would you like to come to our webinar series? Then after the webinar series, thank you very much for coming to the webinar series. Would you like our white paper? You know, have you got any current, you know, AI or gamification needs? If so, please let us know. Here's Juliet's diary or whoever's doing the sales at that time. Again, I haven't done anything, right? All of this is just plopping into my eventual calendar. And then, you know, you can even do, you know, account creation and all of that good stuff. So those are all available to you. You just need to find the right low code, no code tool for you. So in terms of, you know, emerging technologies, basically at the moment, we're all using AI. We're all using kind of Claude, and we've all got our favorites and stuff. But basically what you'll find over the next 12 months is that you will have these multimodal AI assistants. So that's basically what we're working on at Iridescent. So, you know, trains of, you know, 30 to 50 different AI agents, all doing a specific job, but handing that job off to the next AI agent. So what you will see over the next sort of, you know, 12 months is more and more applications that are able to take you from the beginning, i.e. I've got an idea of this is what I want to automate, all the way through just to you signing up with an amount of money and it happening. So those multimodal AI assistants are basically, you know, where everything is, you know, AI agents is where everything is kind of moving towards. The other thing is you will see more voice and you will see far more real-time personalization. So the benefit of pulling together loads of agents and then working, you know, together in beautiful harmony is that they remember what the last agent, you know, bit of information they got. So this is how you just get that beautiful personalized synergy. And this is, you know, how we're able to create Zavmo AI, because we start with a little piece of information, you know, about you, your name, your role, you know, who you report to, and then basically it gets handed on to the next agent who basically maps it to NOS, and then and so forth and so forth. So this is basically what we are moving towards. And so, you know, if using the low code, no code, you know, is not working for you at the moment, then for God's sake, just keep coming back. If there's one thing you take away from this lesson is you must become passionately interested in AI and automation, okay? Even if that's not your bag, because you know, that is the way the world is going. And obviously you want to make sure that in your business, you are as automated as you possibly can. And then of course, if we look at 2025 and beyond, we're looking at, you know, AI agents that can basically look at what you're doing from a website point of view, content creation point of view, customer point of view, back office point of view, and basically start making autonomous decisions with regards to, you know, what you're going to be doing. And this is in every single walk of life, whether you're in sales, marketing, tech, operations, it doesn't make any difference, you know. It will start moving this way in terms of, you know, or autonomous, you know, systems that are able to help you optimize your business. And then, you know, going back to, you know, you not having to do the grunt work, what you should be doing is just focusing on your why, focusing on your why the whole time. So am I being creative enough? Am I being innovative enough? Because these AI agents are going to pick up all the slack so that you can be the greatest creative, you know, human ever to walk the earth. So that's basically, you know, what this kind of looks like. So do make sure that, you know, you are part of the journey. So in terms of practical roadmap, and apologies, I probably will go over 1 or 2 more minutes. What you want to be doing is doing your research, 1 to 3 months. I mean, Sam has been a laser on that and basically done the whole lot in a week. That is definitely the type of approach I would make. Just make automation your thing for this week and just research as much as you possibly can and find out what you're going to start, you know, dipping your toes in and what you're going to automate. Then basically you're moving on to the enhancement stage. Do I really need this? Can it be done? Have I got enough data? Yada, yada, yada. And then further down the line, you know, you know, can either implement it or, you know, basically pivot to other platforms as they come up. So the cost benefit analysis of this is it just outweighs anything. So if, again, going back to the first slide, if you are not on the automation bandwagon for marketing, then you will quite simply be left behind, because the human brain just can't copy and paste and go into the emails and write emails at the same rate as AI and automation can. Like, it's a process that can be automated, and because it can be automated, quite simply, everybody else will be doing it. So you might have a 6-month head start, but you're probably not going to have that much more of a head start, because, as we've seen, we are going to have intelligent systems that just come along and say, look, this is the ideal way for you to market your business. So in terms of tool stack costs, these things do cost money, right? I mean, they're not free. And if you want good ones as well, what will happen is that, and once you start churning through them, so for example, we're scraping, LinkedIn to create our own, database of people, and we're also using LinkedIn to contact people as well. But you constantly, as you move through the months, you buy credits, and those credits go down. So you might have to pay for access to the platform, and then after that, you've got to pay for credits. And certainly, even at the moment in growth engineering, we're well advanced of spending £2,000 a month on AI and automations. But, hopefully we're in a situation where, we're spending money in the right way in order to maximize, what we're doing. So you should expect, some big reduction in, your workflow, your personal workflow. You should you should get more people coming into your pipeline, right? Because you're doing more activity, because it's automated. You should have an increase in conversion rates, because you're automating all the pain points throughout your sales pipeline. So the right information is being presented at the right time to your buyer. You should also be better at understanding why they're dropping out. So you're going to fix, areas of your website that basically are not, helping that person to convert. And then most importantly, you should be able to offer immediate answers to questions that are asked over and over again. So, in the case of Zadmo, it would be, do you support this qualification? Do you have schools in this area using it? Whatever it might be. Right. So in terms of low code, no code implementation, the two parts of this is, first of all, you want to do some research on the low code, no code options out there for you. Okay, so do look at Zapier, do look at make.com, but I don't think they're the best now. As I said before, they're the ones that are a lot simpler, because the whole industry is moving towards making it simpler and making less, technical requirements. So look at them, but also look at others. Remember, simpler is best. Start off with one automation, then 2, then 3, then 4, and don't look at your entire, SOP, your standard operating procedures for your whole sales and marketing process. Start on what's easy, start on what you can do, but make sure you actually do start automating. You want to start really basic. So maybe it's just 1, 2 things that you're linking, or 1, 2, 3 things. You of course want to test the integration. So Billy been doing a lot of this. So, and I see it all the time in growth engineering as well, doing tests for the automation. Then you want to monitor the results. Is it making any difference? So we started a campaign using make.com, LinkedIn, some automated emails to do some outreach. It hasn't really worked. So we've got, a call on that to discuss what are we getting right? If we've not got the target market right, are we aiming too high? Et cetera, et cetera. And that's where the creativity comes, right? Because, what the AI and the automation are only doing what you tell them to do. They can't problem solve the actual issue of why you're not getting conversions, in the regularity way you want. And then obviously from brainstorming, you want to optimize. And I think it's interesting what Sam was saying about A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It may be that it's certainly not A, B. You may just need to keep iterating. So in terms of kind of homework and stuff like that, please just take away from this lecture that automation is absolutely critical for a marketing role. Everybody is automating, which means they're going faster, they're more efficient, and they're basically churning out, a lot more. Even if the quality of the content is the same. The reality is they're getting it into more places. So, you know, you can choose your battle where you want to spend, you know, your time, or how you want to prioritize it. Is it creating content, you know, like Sam's created content, or is it getting the existing content you've got in a plethora of more places? Doesn't matter what it is, just basically start automating. So that is it from me. If I would really appreciate your comments in the chat. Do you want a session more technical than this in terms of automation? So that would go into things like, you know, what is an endpoint? How do you get an API key? I don't know. The list goes on and on and on. But if you would like one that's a bit more technical, then I'm sure Cosmo will basically give us the benefit of time just to go through some of these common terms. And so, you know, please shove it in the chat and let me know. And very much look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We are now on the downhill, guys. We've got 4 days left. So yeah, 3 days of me speaking, and then we've got yes to more technical. Okay, fantastic. Well, look, we will definitely get fantastic. Thank you, Gerard. Thank you. Okay, so I think that's enough of us on a call that we are going to, I'd like to see a case study. Fantastic. Brilliant. We will definitely get a case study. What I'll try and do is, I know Sam's probably got a bit more of a case study that he can give us, and maybe we can actually just get these, you know, on some one pages. I've definitely got some case studies from GE and Iridescent, so we'll work that up. So I'm thinking that's probably going to be on Thursday. Then let's do that interactive session on Thursday, and let's just hope that Cosmo is able to run some of that session for us. Soroya, yes.
I'll just, if we're going to do something more technical, it sounds super interesting, but would you mind kind of just giving the idiot's guide breakdown, because I have no idea of any of the things you just said. So yeah, sorry, complete novice.
No problem at all. Yeah, and it might be that basically some of the terminology that we're using just allows you to go away and basically just Google it. I think what we need to do is we just need to get into the weeds a bit. So rather than basically talking about the concept of why you should automate, which this was definitely that, just plugging away at the fact you must automate, you must automate, you must automate. Let's get into the weeds a bit. Let's show some tools, and let's show oh, that's fantastic. Another top tip from Steve there, guy called AI Mastermind. And as I say, you know, if you get into that loop on TikTok, there's tons of people, but it's very quick. So I would have thought YouTube is just a bit better, because you get these long form videos. But look, guys, please, I mean, I do not know, you know, all the tools available. Really, it would mean a lot to me if you can just share any information you've got on automation and AI, shove it in the chat, and I'm talking about Discord, not this chat here, because obviously this chat disappears. And we will absolutely make sure that we've got some case studies and we've got some technical. So what we'll start off with is some case studies. So this is what we did, this is the results. And then we'll go into, you know, basically how we linked in, oh, sorry, not LinkedIn, how we basically connected them, and how difficult and hard it will be. Fantastic. Okay, well, great. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow, guys. Thank you very much for your Monday morning enthusiasm, and have a great week.